I saw a lunatic's eyes go clear. Jesus of Nazareth did those things.
Speak it.
He doesn't strike me at all.
You know what's so interesting is that whenever people talk about Jesus and the things that he did, you can only speak the truth. Even when people tried to build up false witness against him in the trials that he faced at the end of his life, coming up to the crucifixion, even the false testimonies fell.
I think Nicodemus made a fish joke upon his last arrival as well.
Of the Capernaum synagogue.
We'll pass that along.
Will you really?
No. Out!
As you're more vocal about Jesus and the truth, the more vocal your opposition will be, and even more persecution will be headed your way. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and also welcome if you are new. I'm so grateful to have you all here. So my name is AkuaB, and here on this channel I cover all things faith, culture and encouragement. And as you can tell from the title of today's video, I'm going to be continuing on with my reactions to The Chosen Season 2 with Episode 7 Part 1. But before I get straight into that, I just want to quickly encourage you to leave a like down below on today's video, and also comment something that you took away from this episode, or just something that you're enjoying from my reaction as we're going through the video. Also, if you haven't already, then please make sure that you have subscribed to this channel, and also turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. So this week I've previously mentioned that I'm doing daily uploads, so by turning on that notification bell you'll be the first one to know when I upload my daily content. So before we get into the verse for the video, I just wanted to quickly plug my Instagram. That is just another platform where I share even more faith, culture and encouragement on a daily and consistent basis. So make sure to be following me over there, and now let's get into the verse for the video. Okay, so today's verse of the video comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 2, and today we're focusing in on verse 9. So it says, "However, as it is written, what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things God has prepared for those who love him." So what I take from that verse, especially amongst all of the reactions that I've done, and even some of the stuff that I've just been through in my personal life, recently, it just reminds me that God is good. And I think that's just such a simple statement, but I think sometimes we can get caught up in the logistics of things, in the intricacies of our faith, and in the theological debates and the ins and outs of every little detail. And to just have that peace and have that knowledge that God is good and he has good things for us, good intentions for us, just really simplifying our faith. I think it's just such a valuable thing to be able to do, to just focus on the things that God is speaking on and the things that he's making plain and simple to us. So it says, "No eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no human mind has conceived." So these things are just like so much bigger than we could even tangibly imagine. So that just fully blows my mind, because God is just so big, and if you fully just contemplate that and really just take time to ponder on the goodness of God, the gravity of God, and just how big he is, you really just like have to take a second and just be like, wow. Like you become like childlike in your awe for him again. And I think that that's something that we really need to just zone back to. We really just need to focus back to on a daily basis, and just appreciate God for who he is, and the fact that we don't deserve any of what he has for us, and we can barely imagine his goodness, the goodness that we've received from our parents, from our friends, our loved ones. That isn't even a scratch on the goodness of God and what he has for us and his intentions for us. So I just really wanted to bring that verse to our attention and just really have a conversation about it and discuss the goodness of God and the magnitude of his grace and his favour over us as those who love him and keep his commandments. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that verse to our attention, and make sure to leave anything that you have to add to that in the comments, and let's get straight into the reaction. Jesus of Nazareth. Stop for questioning. Oh no, it started. Oh. It started.
Yes,
I'm here to see Quintus.
that's Preator, Quintus. And to may only request an audience via formal application. Did you deface and remove a public notice?
How about now?
It's Quintus. He's back.
Atticus Emilius Pulcher? Sent all the way to the Upper
Oh,
Galilee.
you're behind the times, Quintus. I've been up and down Judea, practically under your nose.
I thought you retired.
Hortis Urbani don't retire.
That's right. They ship you off to Gaul.
Question for you. How do you hold up all that armor with no spine?
Don't be salty. Gaul's not a bad place to retire. I hear the women all have red hair and the music.
I'm not here to talk about women and music, though I'm sure you have plenty of time for both.
Yes, I do, because I keep things so tight around here. So I have time for you. Oh, and hail Caesar. Did I hail already? How can I serve him today?
I come bearing intelligence.
I bear ears.
Good. Open them wide, Quintus. I've got news. It's about Jesus of Nazareth.
I'll never get tired of seeing those fishes turn. It's just such a great illustration.
All right. I'll go first.
How are we gonna measure it if you throw it in the sea?
By the splash.
Throw it on the shore.
I'm going to win anyway.
We'll see. If it's between fishing or hearing Rabbi's instructions about the sermon, I'll throw this thing to the Mediterranean.
We should all be fishing. Try to avoid anything like what happened at Wadi Kelt.
So, throw it, big guy. Winner's pick. Yeah. Okay. Go.
Mine would go so left. Mine would not be on target.
Today. Wait. Go on it with.
What if your arm wrestle?
Why are we deciding anything? We should all be fishing like Jesus asked. We can't risk messing up his sermon plans.
Andrew, I never took you for a sore loser.
Easy, little thunder. You go listen to Rabbi and get to
Wait a minute. Is this going to be the feeding of the 5,000?
except when we come back.
No, I mean,
Oh wait.
Rabbi asked all four of us to find food. We should do as he says, or bad things will happen.
Sore loser and superstitious. Not a good look. Not a good look.
Because they've been kind of leading to the fact that they don't have food for a while now. And like, this might be the great provision that like, they're not waiting for, but that it's building up to.
Oh, and Simon, we can arm wrestle next time. No problem.
This was a terrible suggestion.
You don't think I could take at least one of them? Have some faith, man.
Faith isn't my problem.
Everyone has a part to play in the execution of this sermon.
Sons of Thunder. Aren't you supposed to still be fishing? We decided they could handle it.
We wanted to learn more about what you were planning.
You won a contest, huh? How is Andrew?
I'll get over it.
So, what have we missed?
Z is working on a security plan. Mary and Rama are back at camp working on...
Thank you, Matthew. They don't need to hear all the details. Here's what I want each of you to understand, and what I want you to make sure that everyone else understands as well. It's the why of this sermon. It's not because we need to make our presence felt here in the region. And it's not about the details of how we make this happen. The details matter, yes. And all of you will make sure that this is executed well. But what makes this sermon so important is each person who will be there. Philip, what makes John's sermon so memorable?
The volume.
Yes, that too.
He spoke directly to whoever was there. It was personal.
Yes, good. But this sermon will have thousands of people. So I won't be directing it to one group of people over another. But what I will say will be for each and every one of them. They're coming because word is spreading from the signs and wonders. But what I'll be giving to them will be far more important. Truth. This will define our whole ministry. And that's what we need to focus on.
It's customary to send word ahead when rabbis return to the order.
Well, let's just see what happens now that we haven't. Rabbi Shmuel Bar Yosef of Capernaum.
Well,
Shalom, Yusuf.
The learned Shmuel returns from Jerusalem. For what reason we cannot say, but we are honored.
For the sardines, where else would I go?
We do have them pickled in the...
It's so interesting how this is kind of the reception that Nicodemus got in season 1, and we've not seen much of Nicodemus in season 2, if at all, but this is kind of a weird, it feels weird now that it's Shmuel doing all of the entering and the prestige and all of this stuff. It's kind of like he's been raised through the ranks, and then it's a bit of a contrast to what we saw in season 1 with Nicodemus, whereas then it was based on, like, you know, his history in, you know, teaching and all this different stuff, his wise words and all of that, his wisdom, whereas with Shmuel it's more of reputation and, you know, this is what I've done and this is what I've done, and, you know, his opinions. So it's so interesting to see how he's now being raised through the ranks. And I'm just a bit like, oh, what is he gonna do? Because, you know, this character is being built up, and yeah, it just doesn't feel right. It feels like, ugh, every time that I see him on screen.
Holy city as well. I think Nicodemus made a fish joke upon his last arrival as well. Oh, prepare.
See, this is what I mean. Legit, like, Nicodemus did this. Like, he made that joke, and it's just like, I think that's the vibes I was getting. Like, this is very, like, similar.
The seat of honor.
No. Yusuf,
And that
I have done nothing
silence.
to
You were accepted by the great Sanhedrin of Jerusalem for special research. A proposal few are granted. Please.
I'm flattered by your gesture, Yusuf, but this is no time for sitting. May I speak with you privately?
Well, yes, of course.
Accompany me to the Bet Midrash.
But why her?
She referenced the healing of a leper. Remember?
There is no law against healing a leper.
But if it was on Shabbat, like he did at the pool, then a pattern has emerged. He can tell us what blasphemy this Ethiopian woman...
Tamar.
She could be the key to confirming 2 incidents.
But a woman's testimony is worthless.
Not if she leads us to the leper.
You think someone healed of leprosy would turn over damning information about his healing?
No other...
But it's so interesting, like I was saying in the last reaction, they're so much more focused on the legal and, you know, all of this different, you know, lawful stuff, rather than the actual healing, rather than the actual supernatural and just, you know, blessing that it is that people are being healed and impacted. It's, oh, it just hits home, the verse, or not the verse where it says, you know, their hearts are far from God. Like, their physical, their external, what they're doing is so like upright, and you know, they fast and they all do all of these different things, these ceremonial things, but then their hearts are so far from God.
Spies would violate the commandment against bearing false witness.
With all due respect, teacher, I thought you went to Jerusalem to study false prophecy, not to hunt down this one man from Nazareth, of all places.
One and the same errand, Yusuf.
I know he spends time with sinners, but...
The Ethiopian. Is she still in Capernaum?
Not in Capernaum. The last I heard of her was from Yehuda. He encountered her in Magdala.
Why would Yehuda bother to mention it?
She was offering testimony on the street.
A woman. Blasphemy. It's like a wildfire with this man. Everywhere he goes. We must find her.
And if you discover the healing was not on Shabbat, I hope you will consider sharing your experience in Jerusalem with us.
I would like that, Yusuf, but there is one other I must speak with.
Look, I don't know why the grain thing bothers you so much. Jesus didn't mind.
The Pharisees did mind. And then report him now.
Jesus knows how to handle himself. You don't have to ride to his rescue all the time.
Seriously? You? The master of riding to his rescue?
Yeah, all right. I did that a few times. I know it doesn't help.
A few
You know what
times.
they're doing to John. We can't let them do that.
We won't.
Then let's not make a scene everywhere we go. That's all I'm saying. It's common sense.
I think he's more of an uncommon sense guy. Get used to different, brother.
I'm being smart. What?
Smarter Matthew and Thomas.
So Matthew's smart now. The Messiah really has come.
Don't forget I said anything. Let's just fish.
I'm here to request an audience with the Preator. It's urgent.
That's what everyone says.
Well, there are signs all over Capernaum saying the man known as Jesus of Nazareth is sought for questioning.
I can take your statement.
I believe he was last seen in Jerusalem for one of our pilgrimage festivals.
When was this?
5 days ago.
That's outdated intelligence.
What?
We'll have him in our custody by tomorrow.
What's happened?
Arrested on what
Is
charge?
there anything else you'd like to report?
With all respect, officer, I must know the nature of the charges. If he broke Jewish law, then we must know.
What do you know of the Order of the Zealots?
The fourth philosophy? I don't understand.
Stories and rumors. There are outsiders.
What have the zealots got to do with Jesus of Nazareth?
Thank you for coming in. Can you see yourselves out, or would you like me to show you?
No, you're on the wrong track. Jesus is dangerous, but he's not a
We
zealot.
can decide for ourselves who's dangerous.
It's so interesting to see this contention at the start of the persecution of Jesus and his ministry, because as we know, coming to the end of the life of Jesus, they both kind of had the same motive. They had the same end goal even. They had maybe different motives, coming from different sides, the Romans and the Pharisees and the people that persecuted Jesus from a religious perspective as opposed to the Romans, but they definitely had the same end goal of just wanting to get rid of Jesus' ministry, erase it from existence, and to kill Jesus.
Thank you.
May we question him? Once you have him in custody?
Yes, I would very much like to speak with him on behalf of the Capernaum synagogue.
We'll pass that along.
Will you really?
No.
Out!
Oh dear.
Mark my words. Do not underestimate him.
Oh,
Do not underestimate this.
okay. Wow.
So what's your plan, Preacher?
Plan. We're gonna walk through that city like we own it.
I really hope that this particular Preator gets saved, because someone commented, I can't remember the person that commented in season 1, I think, when Matthew went to follow Jesus, and they were like, this might be the one that his servant was ill and he needed healing. And the one that said, I tell my servants to go and they go, I tell people to do this and they do this and they listen, and I don't even have to go and do it myself, like they will do it off my word. Someone said that might be the individual that believed, so I really hope that it's this one because we have such a connection with him from season 1.
Arrest our men and be home by breakfast, cohort. That is the plan.
Have you been to Jotapata?
I've seen schematics.
It's a very, intense place.
Meaning?
Well, let's just say the Preator in Jotapata doesn't have the kind of control Quintus has in Capernaum.
How do you know that?
I used to have some reliable informants there.
What happened? They stopped talking?
They stopped living. Tortured to death. One by one. Rome is the enemy in Jotapata, Primi.
Not great.
Yeah. You know the guys in black and white?
Pharisees.
You got a lot of them. And the other ones?
Sadducees.
Yeah, some of those too. And preachers, like this Jesus, all over the place. Pretty much everyone in the town is on a mission of protest. You know what I mean?
I am starting to get the picture.
Jesus' camp is just south of the city.
Maybe we'll take the long way around.
Now that sounds like a good plan.
Is that why you came along?
I wanted the exercise. But mostly, your Preator is just about the most detestable guy in all of Galilee.
You sure that is all? Could have walked along the seashore. If you wanted to avoid Quintus, there's always plenty to drink in a fishing city.
You've got good instincts, Primi. All right. I must admit I am intrigued by your prey.
Jesus of Nazareth?
I saw a man who had not stood on his own 2 feet in half a century, bounding like a boy. I watched a martyr throw down his weapon and take a knee. I saw a lunatic's eyes go clear. Jesus of Nazareth did those things.
Speak it.
He doesn't strike me at all.
You know what's so interesting is that whenever people talk about Jesus and the things that he did, you can only speak the truth. Even when people tried to build up false witness against him in the trials that he faced at the end of his life, coming up to the crucifixion, even the false testimonies fell when they were brought up. They all contradicted each other. And I love that fact that you cannot lie. You cannot lie. God is a witness to himself and he is truth. You cannot lie about God.
It's threatening or scary. And that scares me. Now maybe I'm just interested to see how he'll take to wrist irons.
Listen up, men!
Like old times, huh?
As he said, no one ever has to guess what's going on in your head.
There's nothing in my head. It's in our bones. Don't have to think.
Must be nice.
What?
Having nothing in your head.
Don't be smart. It's just the same.
That leaves true. He plucked the heads of grain at what he killed.
Everybody did that. Except Mary.
She'd already done her part.
You think you're never going to make another mistake in your life?
She was gone for days.
True. Don't exaggerate.
Me not to exaggerate? Are you telling me not to exaggerate? That... Wow!
Look, she went through something horrible and terrifying, and she dealt with it the best way she knew how.
She should have gone to Jesus.
She knows that now. If you remember, Jesus was disarming crazy Simon of his dagger.
Oh, he's the crazy Simon?
I'm a married man who worked an honest trade.
Worked an honest trade dishonestly.
Here's how I met Jesus.
Unexpected roads. Gambling. Brawling. That also unexpected.
You gamble too!
And I'll never do it again. And if I'm ever tempted, I'll ask the rabbi for help. Suddenly we'll do anything selfish. Leaves the group stranded at camp for 2 days starving, or puts Jesus on edge. Makes him snap at the Pharisees who are hunting us down now.
He was grieving John's arrest, and they're not hunting us down. You're so dramatic.
Word reaches Jerusalem that he claimed the title Son of Man and Lord of the Sabbath. They'll hunt him down, they'll put him away. It could completely completely ruin all the plans for the sermon. Erase all the momentum we've gained. That's what I'm afraid of.
Jerusalem doesn't even open the mail from Vadikelt. Andrew, this is just fear talking.
I've been at this longer than you. When they decide they don't like you, it's over. John might spend his life in prison.
This is why God tells us not to fear, be anxious for nothing. My heart is just like racing at in this conversation as it's like climaxing. Oh my goodness, like this is what fear brings about. This is what anxiety brings about. It's nothing good. It doesn't give birth to anything that is of good fruit. Like this is all just fear, anxiety on 100. Like there is no peace, there is no joy, there is no, goodness that comes from this.
Herod arrested John, not the Sanhedrin.
Sanhedrin arrest people all the time.
You're the one who told me he was the Messiah. Am I gonna have to be the one to remind you now?
Yeah, he
The very
was.
fact that he's the Messiah means there's going to be trouble. You get it? Maybe even a war.
If you were building an army, would you start with little James and Thaddeus?
Simon!
You think he's drawing up military plans all the time he goes away to desolate places?
He never comes back with anything.
You know what? Let's just fish. All right? Can we?
Oh my goodness.
Andrew, my little brother whom I love very much.
Run.
I need you to take a very long, deep breath. Can you do that? What? Why? Just please. Ask God to give you...
Now, a few days would be plenty of time
Oh
to
no.
make sure everything
Oh
goes
no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh my goodness. Yikes. I'm assuming that nothing too drastic is going to be happening right now because of the fact that we're so early in the ministry of Jesus. But I can't imagine the amount of times that there must have been like run-ins with the Pharisees or with the Roman officials that must have had some kind of like contentious moments and not obviously led to his crucifixion straight away, but the amount of times that kind of conflict must have happened throughout the 3 years of his public ministry before his actual crucifixion. Oh, it must have been like kind of terrifying to experience because your life is literally on the line, especially as a disciple, like as one of Christ's followers.
Don't be afraid. Tell everyone to keep planning. I'll be back.
I knew it!
Hey,
I knew it!
you together, man.
This will be interesting to see. I don't know if his name is his name is, no, I'm not sure of the guy's name. The guy that, I think it's Gaius, that was with Matthew. Like he was his, obviously the guy that just like shepherded him, like kind of, protected him as the tax collector. So it's going to be interesting to see their interaction as they meet again, because I'm not sure of the last time they met.
Jesus of Nazareth, you are sought for questioning by a Roman authority. Will you surrender to detainment peacefully?
Yes.
Jesus, no!
Are you armed?
I am not. But some of my followers are.
Ooh.
Tell your followers to drop their weapons and step back 10 cubits.
I will. May I say goodbye to my Ima? Mater mea.
I love how that was more for her than it was for him. Don't be afraid.
James and John, drop your weapons and step back 10 cubits.
They have to tie him up.
Matthew is safe, doing well. He's back at the camp.
You all look underfed.
Wow.
Filthy.
We had a bit of a hungry spell, but we have men out on the water now, stocking us up.
He's used to eating well. What do you have to offer him?
Should we talk about this later?
Oh, yes. When you experience so much outside of God and it's not filling, this is why, especially with the one at the well, he was saying that if you have this living water, you'll never thirst again. And she's like, oh, give me this water. Like, I want this water. And he's like, it's not a physical thing. It's a spiritual thing. And it's so interesting how, as humans, we do want things like food. That's a basic necessity, and the finer things in life. But those aren't the things that are life sustaining. Those are just things that can pad out your life, that can make you feel a bit more comfortable, but those are not the things that give you life. And I would much rather have the thing that gives me life rather than pad out spiritually weak life with materially nice things.
Move out!
Only the start of it for Mary. Like, I noticed that. I don't know if that was just like something that the actress did and she just like instinctively, like, to convey like hurt and pain, like just grabbed her stomach, but I just thought it was quite interesting that she did that, just because it signifies the way that Jesus was brought into this world, obviously in flesh as a human, and she was the one that conceived him, like that gave birth to him, and all of this different stuff, and just watching him grow up, that must have been it must have been like a knife to the stomach, like knowing that he's taken away from you for the first time, because all these other times, I remember when he was 12 and he was found in the synagogue, and he was like, why wouldn't I be with my father? And it's like every other time he's wandered away, and this time he's been taken away. So it's just such a interesting action that I just thought is worth taking note of. But yeah, I'm gonna go now into my outro, and let's just break down this part of the episode. Okay, so that is the end of today's reaction. I really hope you enjoyed it, because I definitely enjoyed watching it. So now let's just get into a bit of a breakdown of the episode and talk about some of the highlights of it, some of the more prominent parts. So the first thing that I want to get into is the Pharisees. So we kind of went into a bit more of the relationship between the Pharisees and the different shifts in the changes of the order of their ranking. So initially in season 1, we saw Nicodemus being entered as some kind of inspiring Pharisee that was quite high up, and then he was especially respected locally, and then his name was respected more widely as well. So he had a massive influence. He had every other Pharisee like hung off his word. Every other more minor Pharisee, they hung off his every word. They really soaked it up. They were like, do you have a word about this? Do you have some wisdom on this? And In season 2, we've seen Shmuel grow into that role more and more. But the difference with Nicodemus in season 1 is that there wasn't this conspiracy and, you know, this hype about Jesus. So when Nicodemus was already established before the ministry of Jesus, it's more when Jesus's ministry started to be more public that Shmuel rose to more prominence. And I think that's mainly because of his views as well, because obviously they're going around trying to persecute Jesus and find people to ally with them in this persecution. So yeah, I just thought that was quite interesting how Shmuel entered the room in one instance and like everyone was automatically like, oh, you're so amazing, welcome, you're so welcome here, all of this different stuff. And then he even made a joke about fish, and one of the other Pharisees noticed it and they're like, Nicodemus did this, and then everyone just went silent. And I think that's partly because Nicodemus did not agree with Shmuel. I think that he was trying to be as good of a teacher as he could be, and I think that Nicodemus especially, we saw towards the end of season 1, he was more of a genuine teacher. He genuinely loved to teach, and he genuinely liked to really pick apart the intricacies of the law. So when Shmuel has started to rise into that role, he is just not really about the feelings and the you know, the semantics of things. He's very cut and dry. This is the law, black and white. So you definitely see a bit of contrast between their methodology and their views. So I think that's an area where there's kind of a bit of conflict between Nicodemus and Shmuel, and I don't know if that's just the start of it and if we're going to see more of Nicodemus later. I really hope that we do, because I really like the development of his character. So yeah, and especially the fact that I think the last we saw of Nicodemus like properly in relation to the ministry of Jesus was when he didn't go with Jesus after he told him to follow him initially. That was such a heartbreaking scene. I'm not sure if I cried watching that, but I definitely just like pulled at my heartstrings, because there's so many people that God calls people all the time and it's on them to respond. Some people just will never respond, and some people heavily contemplate it and choose differently. So it was very, you know, heartbreaking to see that moment, and to see the physical distress that he was in making that decision. Apart from that, we've seen the Andrews kind of mulling over of what they did previously in regards to the synagogue, that small local synagogue, and the fields earlier where they ate the corn or something, and he's like morally contemplating that still in his head after they did it, and his brother Simon is there like trying to offer peace and offer, you know, comfort to him and be like, Jesus said it was cool, and like, you know, everyone else was doing it and it's totally fine. Like if Jesus said it and, you know, he's the Messiah, then it must be fine. So Andrew is just in his head and he's getting very anxious and fearful of how public and counterculture that Jesus's ministry is becoming. And I think that's something that is a genuine and relatable anxiety, because as you're more vocal about Jesus and the truth, the more vocal your opposition will be, and even more persecution will be headed your way. So I found that quite interesting, how Andrew is having this internal and external conflict about the public ministry of Jesus and the way that it's going to impact their lives, because their lives are on the line, as I said later on in the reaction. Apart from that, we've just seen Jesus be taken in for questioning, and that is going to be so interesting to see in the second part and actually see how that develops and what actually comes of it, how he handles it, all of that stuff. And I have an inkling of how he's going to handle it, because Jesus is just a very measured and respectful person. So he's definitely not going to be like gaslighted into acting off guard or anything like that. It'll be interesting to see if they do try to gaslight him, if they do try to manipulate what he's done and make it seem blasphemous, which I'm sure they will if the Pharisees get hands on him, and what angle the Romans are going to take in persecution. So I'm excited to see all of that. Make sure to leave down below in the comments something that you're excited for, especially in episode 8, because I know I'm slightly behind now. One more reaction until I'm all caught up. But yeah, make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like and also subscribe to this channel, and I'll catch you in my next one. Stay blessed and bye.